Welcome to the Fantasy Football Prophet Podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprophet.com. And now your hosts, Craig and Jeff.
Welcome everyone to the Fantasy Football Prophet Podcast. I'm Craig Phillips, once again with a solo show today, just the final solo episode before Jeff returns tomorrow for our Week 4 ranking show, which this week we'll condense it into one episode. We'll go over everything: quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. But today I have a mailbag episode for you. Got a bunch of questions coming in from some on Instagram, a couple on Twitter, a couple emails that came in, just a good variety of questions, some start sits questions, some trade questions, some drop questions, waiver ad questions. So I'll go through all of those here in just a second, but make sure you do check us out on Twitter at the FF Prophet, Fantasy Football Prophet on Instagram. The website's fantasyfootballprophet.com. We'll have all our rankings up there. Mine are already live on the website. Jeff's will be up there tomorrow when he comes back and we get the rankings done there. All right, let's just get right into some of the questions. We got Ernesto asked us, is it time to trade or drop Buck Allen? And is Chris Hogan still worth an ad with Amendola coming back? All right, with that one, if you could make a trade with Allen, if you could trade him right now and still get some value, I would definitely look and see what the options are. I'm not sure how much value going forward he's going to have. He's going to have some good weeks. He's going to have weeks like he did last week. I wouldn't drop him at this point. I would have to see another 2-3 weeks of him just not getting anything done, not being productive. But at this point, don't drop him. But if you're worried about him, maybe look for that trade now before his value possibly drops even more. But I still think he's going to have some value going forward. He got a little overhyped maybe there for, a week. It's still the Ravens. They have a terrible offense. Obviously, West is still there. Alex Collins looks like he could be a factor. But don't drop him yet. Explore trade offers, see if there's something out there for him. And then Chris Hogan, I definitely still think Chris Hogan should be on your roster, and he's definitely a worthwhile play, even with Amendola coming back. He's played really, really well. That even when Amendola's out there, I think Hogan's going to get a lot of targets. He's going to get touchdowns. That's what we've seen already. And so he's worth a roster spot. Yeah, it is going to be interesting to see how exactly it plays out with Amendola on the team and, out there with him again. But definitely keep Hogan on your team for now as well. Both of those guys wait and see what happens. Don't drop them yet. Just see how everything plays out. Danny asked, is it still worth it to keep Luck on your bench? He says he has Rivers as his quarterback playing the Eagles this week, and he might need another quarterback option. Yeah, I think at this point, if you've kept Luck on your bench so far, you should at this point just keep him there and wait. You've waited long enough. You only probably have a couple more weeks left, and you'll get Andrew Luck in your lineup. And I'm perfectly fine with playing Rivers this week. Yeah, I know he played terrible last week. He's been up and down on the year. The Eagles don't scare me. I think right now they're about 16th, and their defense is about 16th against quarterbacks this season. They're just middle of the road. They're not scaring me at all. Play Rivers. I'm fine with it. Unless there's a really great option out there, which I don't see finding a QB streaming option that I'd like better than Rivers anyway. So I'd play Rivers. I'd be fine with it. Luck should be back here soon, and hopefully he can produce, which he should, and it'll be worth keeping him on your bench. IceCam81 asked, is Isaiah Crowell droppable, or will he come back to form? Now with Crowell, he's not droppable, not for me at all, because he's a starting running back in the NFL, and starting running backs, it's hard to get starting running backs who are really kind of the main guy there. I mean, yeah, Duke Johnson's there, but it's a different role. Crowell's the guy who's getting the carries. Will he come back to form? That's a different question. He had glimpses last year of him being, playing really well. He didn't hit 1,000 yards, though. I don't know. This is kind of what he is. He plays for the Browns. They're not a good team. They're going to get out of the game flow. He's not going to be able to get all the carries, and Duke Johnson is going to be in there more when they're down. So he's not droppable, but again, I don't even know what coming back to form is. This is what he is, I believe. yeah, if the Browns were a better team and he was able to get, 15 to 20 carries a game, Crowell will be, a really good option. But this was my worry coming into the season, and we talked about this a little bit. Me and Jeff did. Crowell was ranked slightly high. He should have been down maybe a little bit lower, just because the Browns are just they're not a good team, and he's not going to get enough carries to really make a huge difference. And because honestly, Duke Johnson there takes up passing down work, and if they're behind a lot, so don't drop Crowell right now at all. But also don't maybe be counting on him to come back or become this high-end running back 2. And some people even had him as running back 1, a back-end running back 1. I don't think that's what he's going to be. Maybe a flex at best, but keep him on your team. David asks, he says he's a Zeke owner. Should he have Darren McFadden or Alfred Morris as a handcuff in case Zeke misses time? McFadden's been inactive the last 3 weeks. It does seem like Alfred Morris is the true backup to Zeke right now, just if you base it off of who's in there and who's not. And McFadden's he's not dressing for the games. I don't know if that would be the case necessarily if Zeke went down. I think if Zeke went down, it would pretty much be a McFadden-Morris split. It's just that's how it works right now. Morris is the one who maybe is the backup, but if there's an injury, it could be both. So I don't know if either is going to be terribly valuable. I mean, you could pick up Morris. Maybe that's the way to go right now. But honestly, I'm probably not keeping either on my bench right now because I don't know who. I really believe it'd be a committee if Zeke were to go down. So I'm just going to drop them both, not worry about it. Try to find some upside somewhere else and just, not worry much about the handcuff situation with that. All right, we got RRL75 asks, we got some trade questions now coming up. He asks us, should he stick with Ajayi? He says he has a current trade offer. He would get Julio Jones and Doug Martin, and he would have to trade Jay Ajayi and Martavis Bryant. This is an interesting one for me. I like Ajayi a lot. But with who? Oh man, I'm trying to think this through as I'm reading the question and going through. I thought about it earlier and I didn't have a great answer. Julio is obviously great talent. Doug Martin should be good, but we don't know. That's where the hesitation comes in with this deal. It's Doug Martin for me. If I knew Doug Martin was going to be a top 15 option, I would probably do this trade because Martavis Bryant for me is way too up and down, and I worry about him. I don't like to play him in my lineup because of it, but because of the uncertainty with Doug Martin, I have a hard time doing it, especially, Ajayi had a bad game. I'm not too concerned with that. The Dolphins just got into they got down, they couldn't do their game plan. It just wasn't what they normally will be. Me personally, I like the running backs. If you listen to our show at all, we went running back heavy. We like to have the top running backs. I am going to keep Ajayi. If I knew more about what Doug Martin would be, I'd probably make the deal. But I hesitate because of Doug Martin, and because of that, I probably keep Ajayi here. And yeah, I'm just going to keep Ajayi. That's where I feel like that's a safer option. Yeah, Julio would be perfectly fine, but I also don't know your running back situation with this one. It obviously roster construction changes if you're going to do a deal or not. If you could trade Ajayi and still have good running backs and you really need the wide receiver help, yeah, that changes things. I don't quite know, but just straight up in a vacuum, I'm keeping Ajayi. Named Jan asks, is it worth trading away Aaron Rodgers? Would I be able to get a worthwhile wide receiver or running back, or should it be part of a package like Rodgers and like Rob Kelly for something? It's not a bad idea to explore trading Aaron Rodgers, especially if you have a decent streaming option or backup option you can use. But with Rodgers, if I could get a top 10 receiver, a top 10 running back, I would think about it. That's where I would just, ask around, see what you could get for him. I wouldn't part with him for anything more than, a top end option. It has to be one of those top guys. Somebody's going to be a sure thing because Rodgers is a sure thing at quarterback. So it's worth a shot to try to trade him around. Yeah, if you can get somebody that's top 10 running back, maybe top 10 receiver, I'd even try to go higher than that. Try to shoot as high as you can with that. It's worth an option. And there are some quarterbacks they get off the waivers, especially maybe you have a good backup, but it doesn't hurt ever to, see what you can get out there. Sold Out of TDs asks, who should I trade? Jordan Howard, Jay Ajayi, or Chris Thompson in a PPR league? All right, this one, I know Chris Thompson's the flavor of the week after, he's had a couple great performances in a row, but that's also where I might look to trade. Yeah, I know it's PPR. Chris Thompson's value is going to be a lot better in a PPR league. But if you could turn Chris Thompson into something great, maybe a great wide receiver at this point, I would try to do it. Who knows? Maybe there's somebody in the league that absolutely is in love with Thompson. Try to get something great out of it. And if you can do that, I would do it. If you don't want to do that and you want to keep Thompson in that, maybe Jordan Howard would be the way to go. He's not quite as valuable in a PPR league, especially with Tariq Cohen now out there. Howard's catches are just not going to be there. But I'm not sure how sustainable this run is from Chris Thompson. I think he's going to be good, but I think you could get a player, maybe, you could get a top wide receiver for him at this point that would really, really be a better player than what Thompson is. Because I don't know if this is how good he's going to be going forward. If Rob Kelly's back, Thompson's not going to get probably as much work. He has a long injury history too that just, Jay Gruden's not going to give him a lot of work. He came out and said that today. And it's not based off anything about Chris Thompson's talent. It's Thompson has such a long injury history that pretty much they believe any more workload for him, it could be bad news, and they want to keep him healthy. So yeah, see what you can do. Try to trade Thompson, maybe. See what the market is like out there and how, high somebody would go for him. RJG 2000 asks, should you sell Gurley or keep him? And if you do try to trade him, who would you try to trade him for? If you actually go back and listen to our week 3 episode, I believe, no, not our Thursday night. It was our last Thursday night episode after the Rams 49ers game. Me and Jeff actually kind of talked about this with Gurley and whether or not you would sell him at this point. Should you sell him? He has a tough schedule coming up. Is this the time to try to see what you can get? And basically, the conclusion we came to is if you can get a top 5 running back for him, maybe that's what I would do. And top 5 running back, I don't even know what that means because I think Gurley could be a top 5 running back. It's Bell, Zeke, maybe Kareem Hunt. You go for it. I don't even know if I would do Melvin Gordon at this point. So it would have to be something spectacular, really, to trade Gurley because he is a top end talent. Yes, I know the schedule is going to be tough. Yes, I know the Rams aren't a very good team, but Gurley is such a good player, and I like the way they're using him in the offense this year. They're trying to get him the ball. They're trying to get, he's getting catches. He's running it. He's going to get all the goal line work. I would have a hard time selling Todd Gurley right now. It would have to be a really, really great trade for me to even start to consider it. And I think at this point, you should be able to get something great if you were to consider it. I wouldn't. MFix77 asks, here we go, some start-sit questions here coming up. You'll be able to get a lot better idea, too. If you guys want to just know player by player who I would start, check out the ranks. Go to fantasyfootballprophet.com. Check my ranks. Jeff's will be up there, too. You'll see exactly what we think. And our ranks will all be listed as standard scoring. So he asked, Martavis Bryant or Jarvis Landry, who would you start? I'm going with Martavis. He's very up and down. I'm not a fan of up and down players, but Landry is, he might get catches, but he doesn't get yards. He doesn't get touchdowns. Martavis has a chance to get a big touchdown. I'm going with Bryant this week. Nicholas asks, he has Mike Evans, Keenan Allen, Golden Tate, and Devontae Parker in a PPR league. If I had to leave one on the bench this week, who would you guys recommend I'd sit? Out of those options, I'm starting for sure Evans. I'm starting Keenan Allen. And I believe that's where I like this because I think Keenan Allen's the safe option. I like Evans. It's Tate or Parker. For me, this week, it's going to be Parker. I'm a big Devontae Parker fan. If anybody listened to the show in the preseason, I was big on Devontae Parker, and I think he's going to be, really stepping up here. And they're playing the Saints this week. So that's just a great matchup. So I'm going to go Parker there. And then he follows it up. Nicholas is the question here. From the one person you'd recommend I'd sit, I'd want to start Mixon in the flex. Would the wide receiver I plan to bench be better off in the flex other than Mixon? So that becomes down to Joe Mixon or Golden Tate. And with the fact that the Lions are playing in Minnesota, Golden Tate's really at this point the number one receiver on Detroit's team. He's probably going to have Xavier Rhodes on him quite a bit. I'm going to go Mixon. And with the offense coordinator change there with Cincinnati, Mixon didn't get the start officially, but it doesn't really matter who gets the start. Mixon's the clear lead guy there. I believe his workload is going to increase. I'd start Mixon over Golden Tate this week. Yeah, especially with the matchup there for Detroit. Logan asks, would you start Demarco Murray knowing he hasn't been good at all besides the one big run making up almost all of his yards? Or would you roll with Chris Thompson as an RB2? Or would you actually start both and bench Keenan Allen at flex with a half PPR? So would you start Murray? I'm gonna go this week DeMarco over Chris Thompson. And DeMarco Murray has a long enough history for me to give it another chance. And if you've listened to this show at all, you'll probably understand I'm a little more conservative with my calls. I like to see a few weeks worth of data before I really make these decisions. And Murray he had a good week. Yeah, the big run does change things, but he's a good enough player to be able to get those big runs. And Chris Thompson is doing it on a very low workload. So yes, maybe this ends up being the wrong decision, but I'm going to start Murray over Thompson. And then the decision becomes Thompson or Keenan Allen. Man, I'm probably going to go Keenan Allen. I need to see. Yeah, I know we've had 3 great games of Chris Thompson, but if Rob Kelly plays, okay, this is the difference too. If Rob Kelly plays, I will bench Thompson. If Rob Kelly is not in the lineup, maybe I do go Thompson here and just roll with Murray and Thompson this week. But I just need to see a little bit more from Thompson. I know we have 3 good weeks, but that's just the way I look at it sometimes. I want to make sure that this is really, truly who Chris Thompson is, and it just isn't a flash in the pan, because we've seen this from players before in the past. It just happens to be the first 3 weeks right now. Thompson's a good player. He is a good player, but it's going to depend. Yeah, I'm going to go Murray and Allen probably, but if Rob Kelly is out, I might think of putting Thompson there. Joe Thompson asks, should I start Jay Ajayi or Mike Gillislee this week? This one's simple for me. I'm still going Ajayi. Yeah, I know he had the bad week. He could be slightly injured, but if Ajayi plays, I'm definitely going Ajayi. Lamas Paco asks, who should I start? Coleman or Blunt at running back? And that one I'm going to go with Tevin Coleman. I'm just not a big LeGarrette Blunt fan. Yes, I know Sproles is out, but I don't think that changes anything for LeGarrette Blunt. He's in a completely different role. Smallwood's going to eat into some carries. Corey Clement's going to eat into some carries. I'm going to go with Tevin Coleman. And then would you go Willie Snead or Randall Cobb? With this one, I haven't had to think about this. If Cobb's healthy and plays, I'm going to go Randall Cobb. Snead, I think he's going to be a perfectly fine option. And even first week back, I think he should be a fine option. But I liked what I saw from Randall Cobb so far. And if Randall Cobb's healthy, I'm going to go Randall Cobb. And then we've got some questions, mainly maybe for more rest of the season, looking forward ahead a little bit here. Atwall2 asks, what's your rest of the season outlook on Chris Thompson and Tariq Cohen? Will they sustain these numbers? Again, a lot of Chris Thompson stuff today, which, makes sense. He is the story right now with how, he's doubled his 20-point games he's been putting up. And I think Thompson is going to remain, he's going to have value all season, especially in PPR. I don't know how much value that means, if that means 15 to 20-point games or if that means 10-point games, 5 to 10-point games. He's going to have value. He's going to be worthwhile. He's going to be a flex option a lot of weeks. I don't see the value going away. And same thing with Tariq Cohen. Even with Jordan Howard there, and I think Jordan Howard he's clearly the main back. Tariq Cohen's not taking that kind of role, but Cohen's getting enough catches. They have no passing game through the receivers right now or tight ends. It's all through the running backs. So Cohen's value is going to stay there. He's a much better option in PPR than standard. In standard, he's going to be best, maybe a flex option. You might not start him a lot of weeks. The numbers will be good. They will stay solid enough where if you put him in your lineup, you should get a good week. or a decent week. It won't kill your week. But Cohen, I mean, Thompson's on the better team. Thompson, to me, if I had to pick between the two, Thompson's going to have more value than Cohen going forward. The Pet Detective asks, Golden Tate or Alshon for the rest of the year standard scoring? And that's going to be Alshon for me. It's just I think he's a better receiver. Tate's good. I'm a Detroit Lions fan, so I do know how good Golden Tate can be, but he's not always going to have great weeks. Alshon isn't either, but if I had to pick and choose, I'm going to pick Alshon right now over Golden Tate for the rest of the year. Chris M. asks, with my main QB out, which is Andrew Luck, he says he have 3 starting contenders until Luck returns. Kirk Cousins, Deshaun Kaiser, or Trevor Siemian. Which one seems like the favorite to fill the role? And it's going to be Kirk Cousins for me. He didn't look good in week 1 or 2, but last week he looked great. And that's what Kirk Cousins does. He's going to have times where he doesn't look like a very good NFL quarterback, and then he's going to have games where he looks amazing. And he's going to be a fine option until Luck comes back. I have no doubts about that. And I know if Jeff was here on the show today, he would definitely pick Kirk Cousins. It wouldn't even be there's no hesitation whatsoever. Proud Dad of 3 asks, he's looking for a good buy low candidate. He says it's week 4, so it is rough. Yeah, trying to think of some good buy low guys here who have already maybe struggled a bit, who you could get at this point maybe before they start to break out a little bit. One that comes to mind, I'm probably going to miss some guys here, but actually Joe Mixon is one that comes to mind. He's had a kind of a slow start. He's been splitting carries with Jeremy Hill. Gio Bernard's still there. But I think as we go along a little bit further and further, Joe Mixon is going to have a stranglehold on this backfield, and he will be, I think he's going to be a top 15 running back for most of the rest of the season. Maybe not this week, maybe not next week, but as we get to about week 6 and on, I can definitely see Joe Mixon being a top 15 option, top 20 for sure. If you could try to get him, if the owner of him right now is disappointed, they got a guy they thought was going to be a top end option every week and hasn't happened yet, maybe you can kind of steal Mixon. It won't maybe take a lot for you to get him. Another guy could be Mari Cooper. He's had a very poor start to the year. I still think he has top end talent. I'm in year 3 and he's not quite putting it together yet, but you could have another owner here who is just really disappointed in what he's seen. And maybe you could go get Cooper from him. It's something to explore. Don't give up a lot for Cooper because I'm not sold on him completely breaking out as much as I was. I had him as a top 10 option coming into the year, and he's definitely fallen from that. But see what you can get. You might be able to steal Cooper from him, and he's going to have big weeks. I just don't know how many. He's going to have enough big weeks to, make it worthwhile to have him as what we had a top 10 wide receiver. But try to see what you can get for him if you could get him and not give up too much. Then if you even have to go deeper, a lot of people, I don't think they're very high on this guy. That's Rob Kelly. He's looked at as an average NFL running back, but he looked really good in that, first half of game 2 before he got injured. He was good last year at times. He's not great, but Samaje Perine showed that he's not either. I don't believe Perine is really a factor. Maybe Mac Brown is more, but Rob Kelly could be a guy that you get for nothing at this point. If you can basically get rid of a guy that's on the end of your bench who you don't care if you cut, and you can get Rob Kelly package 2 players at the end of your bench that are never going to see your lineup. And if you can steal Rob Kelly from an owner, put him on your bench. Get him. I still think there's some value there. I mean, Thompson's going to have value like I've talked about, but Kelly's in a different role. So yeah, see if you can get Rob Kelly for nothing. And I really do believe there is some value going forward for him. All right, I think that's going to wrap it up. I think that's all the questions. If I missed yours, I'm sorry about that. I'll definitely try to answer your question, especially, wherever you sent it to me, I'll get back to you. Might have missed it on the show, but I will definitely try to answer your questions. You can send us messages on Twitter all weekend, Instagram, email. Definitely try to answer as many questions as we possibly can for you, help you guys out as much as can, at least give you, another opinion. Maybe it'll help solidify what you're thinking. Maybe it goes completely against what you're thinking, but, maybe it just gives you another another voice to hear when you're trying to make these start-sit questions, because I know they're never easy. And some of these trades are tough. I always have a hard time with trades too, but if you do send me a trade offer, maybe let me know the rest of your roster construction. It helps me out a little bit trying to decide if it's a good move for you or not as well. But yeah, let us know any of these kind of questions. Find us on Twitter at the FF Prophet, Fantasy Football Prophet on Instagram, or the website's fantasyfootballprophet.com. And we'll be back. Jeff will be back tomorrow, so we'll get some rankings in. Quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, see where we end up on some of these guys. I have some players that are starting to drop now finally for me that I've seen 3 weeks of them just not doing anything. So we'll go over them, and we'll talk to you guys tomorrow.